So today's topic is all about relaunch. Now, we've seen other games in the past have an amazing relaunches or just major bounce backs, right? And there's been some talk in the community about Spellbreak doing something similar. And for today, I just want to talk about some of the things that I feel like that needs to change, or if or when Spellbreak might do a relaunch. Because at the end of the day, if you have this grand spectacular relaunch but you don't really change any of the fundamental issues of the game, or even look at other games as examples, then you're just doomed to be right back where you started. But we're going to talk more about that in a match. Alright, I'm sure you guys have already heard this multiple times already, but there's been a number of games that have been able to have a bounce back, right? Certain games like Apex, Fortnite. I really don't want to compare Fortnite's comeback to a potential Spellbreak like comeback with a relaunch or with like a possible new game mode, just for the fact that Fortnite was just a very special case. But other games like Splitgate, No Man's Sky, Final Fantasy 14, and so on, like there have been a lot of games that haven't been able to make a bounce back after a horrendous launch, right? And a good thing to do is like maybe study how those games were able to do what they were able to do before we even think about having a possible relaunch or rebranding of Spellbreak, right? I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert. I just basically read some articles and watched some YouTube videos, right, on some of those games. And however, there were some repeating patterns in those games comeback. The first being very simple, time, right? But time with a purpose. Basically, they just didn't shut down servers or said like, oh, we're not working on the game anymore, right? They kept working on the game. And it kind of brings me to my second pattern that I saw. They listened to player feedback. They continued to change things, remove things, add things based on player requests. And I know player requests can be something really tricky because it's like, what happens if there's a split in the community on what should be changed and what shouldn't? There are some things that everyone kind of agrees is kind of doo-doo, right? Kind of things that they don't like in this game, like these Wardens. Good chunk of the player base, I want to say north of 70% of the player base dislikes the Wardens. But if you want to be successful, especially with anything, it takes constant time and grind, right? You just got to constantly put in the work. Which is one of the reasons why I love Splitgate's story so much. Just like listening to the developers talk about their passion project, like how they released the game and they just kept twiddling away. Same thing with Among Us too, right? Like, albeit there was only like 3 people working on Among Us, but listening to like Splitgate's and Among Us's story about how these developers just did not quit and they just kept churning out updates, improving the game little by little. That kind of stuff it's just a feel-good story, right? And it's a thing that I feel like maybe Spellbreak can try to incorporate, you know, just not give up per se and learn from their mistakes, which is the second point that I think needs to be addressed before we even think about a potential like relaunch or rebrand, is that they have to learn from their mistakes and other games. EA at times is notorious for not listening to players. EA is the definition of money first, players fifth or fourth. They're the definition of just being a money hungry company. And we saw this in Battlefield 2 with their micro transactions that were paid to win on top of buying the game. And that just stems from EA not listening to their fan base, unfortunately. Albeit, Proletariat used to listen a lot in the Plat Pass. Lately, it's not the case. Prior to Contrary Belief, hold on, I gotta get rid of this guy. Oh, nice Featherfall. Did we hit those? Ah, almost had him. I need to be careful. Thank you for playing. That was fun. I always forget how much I love playing Spellbreak VR. But yeah, like I was saying, Proletariat and the devs do listen to the community. It's just that sometimes their delivery isn't really on point all the time, right? But that's to be expected with a brand new company working with like a very original concept, a very ambitious concept that I should add as well, right? So of course there's going to be growing pains now and most likely into the future while servers are still up, right? But they should really think about changing the way that they're handling this current state of Spellbreak, you know? Because like I said earlier, EA is known for being money first, players like 4th or 5th, right? They're known for ignoring players' requests and just doing whatever it takes to make money. I gotta chase this guy. Thank you, double thick boulders. And people say stone is still pathetic. Don't get me wrong, stone does need some work. But it's a lot more balanced now than it hasn't been in the past. But yeah. Now that we have gotten, but yeah, like I was saying about EA being money hungry and not listening to players, and Proletariat has listened to players in the past before, but its current state, whatever they're doing right now, needs to change because it just does not look good for anyone who's involved. Oh wow, I didn't even know you were there, sir. No, he's AFK. We're just gonna let him big chill. We're just gonna let him be big chilling. He'll come back eventually. But yeah, if Spellbreak was to do a relaunch or rebrand, obviously there's some things that they need to bring to the game, like new gauntlets, right? Spellbreak's been in development for God knows how long, and we haven't had new gauntlets for God knows how long. There we go. I'm on fire right now. Oh my goodness. My fireball shots are just right on the money. I'm feeling good about this. And you're invis. Wow, there's a lot of real human beings in this lobby. Just when I said my fireballs were on fire, or on the money, I proceed to miss a good chunk of them. No invis for you. There we go. But yeah, like I said, we obviously need new gauntlets, right? Albeit maybe there could be variants of the previous gauntlets we already had. Of course, I have some ideas on like how some of those gauntlets might look like. I might do a video of that in the future, maybe. Who knows? We'll see. But they also need to do things that can satisfy both the casual and comp community. That's one thing that I noticed in the beginning of Spellbreak was an issue. It was always like, oh, it's comp versus casual, where I think there's an ecosystem or a place where both can thrive, right? You could do it in a couple of different ways. You can have a mode, a true rank game mode just for comp, aka, and I think that game mode should be like an arenas 3v3 comp game mode. And to satisfy casuals, it doesn't even have to be anything special, right? I think like a simple TDM match game mode will like make so many people happy. Like the amount of people who love Clash, a lot of casual players who love Clash would adore a legit team deathmatch game mode. Oh man, this man doesn't know what he's doing. They could balance things in a way where they can make new and casual players feel like they're doing something good in the game instead of always feeling like, oh, they're missing every single shot, right? But not to a point where experienced players like myself can just abuse the broken things that Proletariat brings in. Dreamer 420er. Well, thank you for the win. I was really trying to prolong that endgame fight so I could just keep talking. But yeah, that's all the things I have to say. Let me know how you guys feel about the game. What are some things that you guys feel like Proletariat needs to address if they were able to? What are some things you guys feel like Proletariat needs to address, or at least do, before even having the idea of having a relaunch or a rebranding of the game? Whether that's like new game modes, like a PvE game mode, which would be okay. The only way I could see like a PvE game mode working is maybe if it's an MMO, and I feel like Proletaires is very far away from ever doing anything like that. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.